The 80s and early to mid-90s marked a shift in the way presidents were portrayed. With the rise of investigative journalism and increasing number of political scandals, more and more directors challenged the notion of the perfect presidential image. Movies highlighted the increasing notion of government transparency and portrayed both the fictional and non-fictional lives of presidents. Moreover, movies and television soon started to portray presidents' love lives, oftentimes marked with infidelity. The early 1990s particularly showed a rise in film revolving around strictly a president's love life.
Hold it, not yet.
Lyndon, this is all going so fast.
Oh, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. Now, come on.
But we need to talk more.
We got the rest of our lives for talking.
But Daddy's not here to give me away.
Doesn't matter, he already has. Hey, Reverend, got the license?
You knew what I had to do to get this issued without the usual waiting period.
I don't recall whining about what I had to do up in Washington to get you those special postal rates for your church bulletin.
Politician.
The early 90s continued to produce a wave of presidential films which portrayed the president in a very humanistic and personable light. Actor Kevin Kline portrayed a regular citizen who was forced to play the role of the president, while the real president was in a coma in the film Dave.
Suddenly, Dave has a great job.
I can't tell you the whole story. It's kind of a national emergency kind of thing, but you gotta help me cut the budget a little.
You gotta cut the budget. He has a great house.
Do I need to tell 9?
And he has a great wife.
Why can't you die from a stroke like everybody else?
She hates me.
Yes. And the amazing thing is, everyone loves him.
God bless you! God bless America!
President Mitchell lately, huh? Has this guy been having too many Happy Meals for lunch or what?
The 1995 romantic comedy film, The American President, was also heavily focused on the romantic personal love life of the fictional president played by Michael Douglas. The movie breaks down the tough guy image of presidents and shows a more candid and sensitive side.
Where are you going?
I'm going over to her house. I'm going to stand outside her door till she lets me in, and I'm not leaving till I get her back.
And how are you going to do that, sir?
Well, I haven't worked that out yet, but I'm sure that groveling will be involved.
You're just going to drive over?
AJ, I'm commander-in-chief of the most powerful army in the world. You don't think I can drive 10 blocks?
Just stay away from DuPont Circle. I hear it's murder this time of day.
At the end of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st, there began to be a split. Films discussing the personal lives of the president and those depicting the public and political, and even another split within both of those, the comical and satirical versus the more serious. Following the re-election of Bill Clinton to office from 1996 to 1998, films once again began to glorify the man in the Oval Office. Numerous fictional movies presenting a brave and sensible president were released. One movie, Independence Day, featured President Thomas J. Whitmore, played by Bill Pullman, who could have been Superman in disguise. He could operate fighter jets and even fight space aliens. He was daring, commanding, and for the people.
We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Another Superman president was President James Marshall, played by Harrison Ford in Air Force One, a no-nonsense leader committed to suppressing terrorists and dictators and an extremely dedicated family man. President Marshall single-handedly saves the day.
Jim isn't making this decision as a president. He's making it as a husband and a father.
Are we on? Are we on?
We're on, Mr. President.
Deep Impact features Morgan Freeman as President Tom Beck, who calmly tries to lead a nation against a threatening comet. Whether it was aliens, terrorists, or a killer comet, the president emerged in the late 90s as the ultimate leader in fictional movies. At the same time, there emerged more comical films about the presidency. My Fellow Americans portrayed former presidents as ridiculously paranoid, manipulative men that, prior to the scandal of the movie, seemed to lead rather ordinary lives. Still delving into the personal lives of presidents, movies began to make fun of and mock the presidency. That same year came Mars Attacks, with Jack Nicholson playing President James Dale, a humorous movie that oddly mirrored Independence Day. According to director Tim Burton, quote, "It was just a coincidence. Nobody told me about it. It almost seemed like we had kind of done a Mad Magazine version of Independence Day."
This is the President of the United States. I want the people to know that they still have 2 out of 3 branches of the government working for them, and that ain't bad.
Similarly, Wag the Dog was a satirical movie portraying the president as a master manipulator. The president, played by Robert De Niro, fabricates a war in Albania through a film producer in order to distract the public long enough to be reelected. Throughout the 1990s, poking fun at personal and political aspects of the presidential and post-presidential life was commonplace. In the first few years of the new millennium, studios continued to pump out comical movies like Head of State, romantic comedies like Chasing Liberty and First Daughter, and then more risque movies like Scary Movie 3. However, in 2004, there began to be a rise in movies and documentaries trying to expose aspects of the real president and administration. One of the best known is Fahrenheit 9/11, a documentary film by Michael Moore taking a critical look at the presidency of George W. Bush, the war on terrorism, and its coverage in the American news media, was intentionally controversial. Moore, always controversial in his filmmaking, hoped Fahrenheit 9/11 would influence the 2004 election, saying, "This may be the first time a film has had this kind of impact."
I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Despite this, Bush was re-elected to office. Other documentary films in the election season included Uncovered, the War on Iraq, and Bush's Brain, a documentary about Karl Rove as the voice and man behind Bush's actions. After the die-down of the election, the trends of the late 90s rolled back into theaters. With Saturday Night Live making fun of the president and later the 2008 election candidates, new comedies ruthlessly mocked the president and his duties. In 2006, we see Idiocracy and American Dreams come out to theaters. Idiocracy's president is President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho, played by Terry Crews, a former pro wrestler and porn star. He's not very smart, but he is very muscular, so he gets to hold office.
Did you know that there are two kinds of Iraqi-Stanis? Actually, three.
Do you mean Sunnis and Shiites and Kurds?
You knew about this?
American Dreams continues the rather unintellectual image of the president. It introduces President Joseph Staten, played by Dennis Quaid, who never read a newspaper so that new information wouldn't pollute his worldviews. While these movies could be seen as indirectly mocking the actual president, the year of the 2008 elections saw more than a few movies directly mock George W. Bush. In Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay, George W. Bush is a pot-smoking, grammar-wrecking, Cheney-fearing president.
Some are the finest.
So you get high and then you put other people who smoke weed in jail?
Duh.
That's so hypocritical.
Hey, oh, yeah? Hey. Well, let me ask you something, Kumar. You like giving hand jobs?
No, sir.
You like getting hand jobs?
Yeah.
All right, well, that makes you a fucking hypocriticizer, too. So shut the fuck up and smoke my weed.
Mr. President, what place do you think you have in history?
In history? I mean, history will all be dead.
The movie W is Oliver Stone's comically biographical take on George W. Bush's life, from his college days all the way up to his assumption to the presidency. Throughout the course of time, the types of movies about the president and the presidency have changed, spread, and developed, each genre building on previous depictions. While certain themes dominated certain eras, each made itself known throughout.
President Schwarzenegger.
That is me.
Springfield has reached crisis levels. I've narrowed your choices down to 5 unthinkable options.
I was elected to lead, not to read.